tell me about this part. Y'all ain't tell me about this part.
Century. Police played a big part in that, also forcing people off their land.
White missionaries have come among the colored aboriginals.
Nah, lads. Shout out to the lads. Hold on. Shout out to the lads. Shout out to the lads. Doing, mate. Spare the hate. Save the hate. Hate your mama. I don't know. She the reason why you're here. Clearly you hate yourself because you just spreading all that hate. It makes no sense. Off the haters. Shout out to the lads. It's about time we get into our Aboriginal history. 2-hour documentary that I'm going to watch on live with you guys. So until I get into that documentary, I do want to have some type of idea of what I'm going to be watching with you guys. So I found this BBC clip about Aboriginal and some type of Australian history attached to it. So we're going to get to the video and see what we learn. All right? Subscribe for the vibe.
Recent protests in Australia have highlighted the plight of the country's Indigenous population, which continues to suffer widespread poverty and inequality. Successive governments there have described it as a national shame. Our latest report, looking at Britain's colonial legacies, comes from Sydney, where Shaima Khalil considers the treatment of Indigenous Australians.
Go! Oh, good boy.
It's not far from where he grew up, but a far cry from Keenan Mundine's own childhood.
That's where the incident happened with my friend TJ. And
taken into care age 6, Keenan was locked up in juvenile detention for the first time at 14 for theft. He then spent much of the next 15 years behind bars.
I turned 18 in juvenile custody. Yeah, I remember that. You just want to be around your family. You just want to be loved.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, that shit sound crazy to me though, right? Aboriginal Australians? Like, why can't they just be Australians? Like, I'm not trying to be funny, like, I'm really just trying to understand it. Like, why can't they just be Australians? Or why, like, I don't know. The same thing with me though. I feel like, why can't we just all be Americans? Why does it gotta be, it's like, we're here now, right? You got your passport, you got your green card, you're an American. Oh, but I understand that. But you're here now. So, I don't get it.
You just want to feel normal. And your turn?
Keenan says the justice system unfairly targeted young.
But I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of like the same thing because it's like, I moved out of New York 3 years ago, but I ain't from Jersey. So it's like, damn, am I a hypocrite? Because I just... But the major difference is it's still in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you move to, hold on, let me get my states together. I should know this. If you move from New South Wales to Queensland, right? New South Wales, part of Australia, to Queensland, which is a different territory, right? It's still Australia, so you're still Australian. Now let me know if Queensland is not a state and I just fucked that all the way up, and I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna go look at my fun facts about Australia because I should know better.
Young Aboriginal people like him, and that this hasn't changed.
I live in constant fear of my children being put in the same positions that I was and having things happen to them that were out of their control and traumatizing them for the rest of their life. I worry about them growing older, being arrested by police, being taken to prison.
The numbers back up his fear. Aboriginal Australians make up less than 3% of the population, but they represent more than a quarter of adult prisoners here.
Yo, what? Okay, so like, here's my question, right? Why, if what you guys are saying is true, and I'm not saying, the reason why I'm saying if is because I didn't do all the history. So once we get to the history, then, you know, but something right now, I'm going off your word. If Aboriginals came to Australia first, or they discovered Australia first, how come they get the shitty end of the stick? Like, and I'm not saying that no one should get the shitty end of the stick, but what I'm saying is, if they were there first, how come they get treated like that? Like, I just don't understand it. Like, wouldn't they have made certain laws or certain things to go around them that benefited them, kind of like how white people do in America. You know what I mean? Like they came and did whatever the hell they did, and now we're here. And it's like they kind of make the laws work for them. It's like it's fucked up. But how come they didn't think of that? Still wrong. What I'm just saying.
And in youth detention, more than half the children locked up are Aboriginal.
Like, for example, because I'm not sure if I landed with y'all there. So I want to land, and I'm going to tell you right where I'm going with this. Slavery is illegal unless you're in prison in America. So, like, you can't be a slave unless you're in jail. This is a fact. Look it up, right? So once you're in jail, whatever, that's it. You're on your own. So you see how white people made that law work out for them? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, not that I'm saying that they should have done that, but how come you guys stink? Like what happened? But it's trying to learn, that's all.
No.
Indigenous Australians are the most incarcerated people in the world. If you're a teenage Aboriginal boy, you're more likely to go to jail than to go to university. And once you're inside the justice system, it's very hard to get out.
That's a fact, yo.
These are depressing realities, and they have the roots in Australia's colonial past.
Massacres and the jailing of Indigenous Australians enabled British settlement here from the late 18th century.
Y'all ain't tell me about this part.
Police played a big part in that, also forcing people off their land.
White missionaries have come among the coloured Aboriginals.
Nah, lads. We gotta get into that Australia dark secret because y'all didn't tell me about this part. I knew about when they said at some point a lot of white people, right? Do I say white in this case, or is that? Listen, you gotta let me know. So I'm gonna just leave that one to be left at. But they were saying that Aboriginal kids were getting like kidnapped from their house and placed into different people's homes and have to be maids and all types of effed up stuff. So like, I kind of had a feeling that this was what it was gonna be. But damn, yo, here I was thinking only America was sick and twisted. Although I watched this video, I think it's called The Woman King. And do you believe that back in the day, some Africans was helping with like the British and like they were helping like with slavery? Like Africans, they were giving away other Africans to be slaves. Could you believe that? That is self-hate. That is like, what? That's self-hate.
And are doing noble work in saving the blacks from themselves.
And right up to the 1970s.
But you know what that shows too? That goes to show you that slavery, yes, it was very racist, but it also was some money shit. Because the fact that like Africans themselves was out there trading on people and snitching on their own people shows that it was all about the money, bro. And that's sick that they allowed them to put that poison money into our heads. It's fucked up. It really is.
Police took part in the removal of huge numbers of Indigenous children from their homes to be adopted by white families or put in
I told you. I knew I was paying attention, but I didn't hear about the other part. Well, I guess the kids eventually grow up. Maybe that's what oh my God, this is sick. I don't know, lads. This is sick. Shout out to all the Aboriginals out there. Listen, this is one of those things where I actually do want to watch that 2-hour documentary, and we're gonna watch it on live. So what y'all need to do is I need everybody to drop a few comments, mainly the members, because I really, like I love y'all too, but the members, they pay. So the members, drop y'all comments and let me know what time is best for y'all that we can work out a good time so we can go on live, because I want to watch the documentary together, because this is crazy. This is like some American history. This ain't no different from slavery. It's really not.
institutions.
The darkness of ignorance has been banished by the bright light of faith.
This is not in the past for us. We feel the impact and the legacy of colonisation every single day in the over-policing of our people, in the systemic discrimination that still exists from police interaction.
And that's crazy because Aboriginals were there first. Like, what? That's crazy.
Through to the courts, through to sentences in prison, being denied bail, ending up in prison on remand, through to black deaths in custody.
British explorer Captain James Cook remains a hero to some, But to many, he's the man who opened the door for the displacement and dispossession of Australia's First Nations people.
Black Lives Matter!
And the death of George Floyd in the United States has shone the light on Cook's questionable legacy. Like the US, there are now calls for shifting resources away from policing and prisons, and for structural change.
If you talk to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, a lot of them will say that the government doesn't care. I would say that governments do care. They spend a lot of money and a lot of effort trying to make things better. The problem is they don't try hard enough to change the way they do business. So if you start all the way back from when the British first arrived in Australia, the governments in Australia have never treated Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as distinct political communities who are entitled to make decisions over their own lives. If we did that and we listened to the Aboriginal people, then we may see improvement in these numbers.
Some
Man, this some America shit, bro.
projects trying a community approach to justice are getting government funding, though Keenan's small charity that tries to keep young people away from prison relies heavily on donations.
I don't want to make bad choices in life. I just want to be like a good kid, and like, but that's what the police officers think. They think that like, cause I'm black, I'm just.
I like this. He's smart. He said, I don't want to make bad choices. You see, he's so smart. He's so young, and he's taking accountability. He said, whatever I do, that's going to be a bad choice. Not, oh, I'm young, or I got to deal with this. It's going to be a bad choice. Ooh. Shout out to his parents. They raising this young man correctly. Stand on that shit. It's all about choices. I keep telling y'all.
Gonna end up in jail, selling drugs or something, but I'm not like that. I want to own my own business, go to university and stuff.
The biggest things you guys know.
The violence and trauma suffered by Indigenous Australians has been passed from one generation to the next since the early days of colonisation. For these young people, the hope is that their future will be different from their ancestors' painful past. Shaima Khalil, BBC News, Sydney.
Drop those comments. We're going on live to watch Australia's Dark Secret. We're going to get to the history, to everything, man. It's going to be a live one. Drop those comments.